Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into a lost civilization that might just flip everything you thought you knew about the ancient world on its head. We're going to explore this incredible lost city, the geniuses who built it, and the biggest mystery of all, where did they go?
All right, let's jump in the time machine and head back about 5,000 years, right into the Bronze Age. You've got these huge powers popping up all over the world, right? Well, there was one civilization that wasn't just playing along, they were basically lapping everyone else.
So picture this. Over in Egypt, they're building these absolutely massive pyramids for their pharaohs, all about the afterlife, right? At the exact same time, the folks in the Indus Valley are doing something, well, completely different. They were building modern cities for people who were still alive, with things like two-story houses made of brick and seriously advanced public services.
And I mean, get this. We're talking about a city with public baths, flushing toilets, and a complex citywide sewer system 5,000 years ago. Seriously, they had a covered sewage system that connected to pretty much every single house. To put that in perspective, parts of Europe wouldn't see that level of sanitation for thousands of years. It's just mind-blowing foresight.
So it leaves you with these huge questions, right? Who were these people? And maybe the bigger question is, where on earth did they go? I mean, we see all this proof of this powerful, super organized and advanced society. But then, poof. Unlike the Egyptians or the Mesopotamians, they just kind of fade out of history, leaving us with this massive mystery.
Okay, so how did we even find out about this lost world? You'd think it was some big, planned expedition, right? Nope. It was found completely by chance, all thanks to one guy who was just out for a hunt.
It literally starts in 1922. An archaeologist, R.D. Banerjee, is hunting, and he just stumbles upon this old flint scraper. Then he sees a local guy taking these ancient, perfectly made bricks to build his own house. That's the light bulb moment. Banerjee realizes he's standing on top of a buried city. He starts digging, and pretty soon he unearths these seals with a strange kind of writing on them. And that's the key, because they connect his discovery to another one, 600 kilometers away in a place called Harappa, revealing this huge lost civilization.
And this is where the scale of it just becomes insane. We're not talking about one city. Banerjee had found the heart of a civilization with over 1,400 settlements. Think about that. It was this massive web of towns and villages. Let me put this in perspective for you. At its peak, the Indus Valley Civilization was bigger than ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia combined. We're talking about an estimated population of 5 million people. This was an ancient superpower, one of the great cradles of civilization. And somehow, it was just completely forgotten for millennia.
Okay, so now let's actually zoom in on the city of Mohenjo Daro itself, because the engineering here has had archaeologists scratching their heads for 100 years. The planning is just next level.
I mean, just look at this. This wasn't a city that just grew randomly. No, they master planned the whole thing. The streets are laid out in a perfect grid, running north-south and east-west, crossing at perfect 90-degree angles. They even built the entire city up on platforms to protect it from floods. And they divided it up. You know, a lower town for people to live in and an upper citadel for public buildings. And that drainage system, it was covered and connected every single home. That is some serious foresight.
And their whole water management system was just genius. It wasn't just about getting rid of dirty water. It was about making sure everyone had clean water. Listen to this. In just the 10% of the city that we've actually dug up, they found around 700 wells. 700! That's an insane number. It basically means every house or every block had its own personal well.
You can really see their engineering skill in what's called the Great Bath. It's basically this huge public swimming pool, and to keep it from leaking, they use something called bitumen. It's like a natural waterproof tar. They line the walls with it, and the craziest part, that 5,000-year-old waterproofing technique is pretty much what we still use today. It's wild.
So we've seen the city, and it's an absolute marvel of engineering. But what about the people? You know, who were they? What was life like? Well, it turns out they weren't just brilliant builders. They were also major players on the world stage.
Here's something huge. The Indus Valley Civilization was the first in the world to develop and mass-produce cotton textiles. We're talking over 7,000 years ago. They didn't just find it, they figured out how to grow it and make stuff out of it on a massive scale. This became the foundation of their economy and something everyone else wanted.
And if you want proof that they were trading internationally, here's the smoking gun. It's an inscription from a super powerful Mesopotamian king, Sargon of Akkad, from around 2300 BCE. He literally brags, "I made the ships of Meluha more at the quay of Akkad." And guess what? Archaeologists are now convinced that Meluha was what they called the Indus Valley.
And check out what they were trading. This wasn't just, basic stuff. The Mesopotamian records talk about importing luxury items from Meluha. We're talking high-quality timber, ivory from elephant tusks, and this prized reddish stone called carnelian. This wasn't a side hustle. These guys were major exporters in the world's very first global trade network. Okay, so let's recap. We've got this incredibly advanced, wealthy, globally connected civilization firing on all cylinders. So what on earth could happen to make the whole thing just disappear? This is where we get to the final, and honestly, the most baffling part of the story.
Now this is maybe the biggest clue we have. In this massive city, we've only found 37 skeletons. 37. That tells you something really important. This wasn't a war or a volcano or some sudden catastrophe. It suggests a slow, gradual abandonment. People saw the writing on the wall and they had time to leave.
So what happened? Well, the leading theory today is all about the environment. It seems like a perfect storm of climate-related problems. You've got climate change causing crazy floods one year and terrible droughts the next. But the real killer might have been the river itself. The Indus River, their whole lifeline, probably just moved. It shifted its course, and that would have completely wrecked their agriculture. But here's the thing. The city was abandoned, but the people and their culture didn't just vanish into thin air. They dispersed. They moved across the region, adapted to a new way of life. And you can still see their legacy today, woven into the traditions, the pottery, and even the textile designs of modern-day Sindh. The culture, in a way, survived. And that brings us to the most exciting part. For all that we know, there's so much we don't. Because, get this, 90% of Mohenjo Daro is still buried underground. 90%. So you have to wonder, right? What other secrets are still waiting down there? What else are we missing? Maybe the key to finally reading their script? The story of Mohenjo Daro is definitely not over.